Okay, let's take a rainy day tour of this green street. It's a rain garden because it has 3-to-1 side slopes and it ponds water behind check dams. Even though it's a linear facility, we can see that the drainage area is this half street improvement that went up and crests up the top of the hill there. Water's coming down the curb, which is cool. That's all right. Water's coming to the first curb cut. And it is making a left-hand turn. It's making that 90-degree turn, which is so hard to make. But it does make it because we have slightly depressed curb. But it is also passing beyond that. And the rain's starting to let up, so it's a little hard to see it. But it is passing beyond that. Right in there. Water's continuing. So what we would do to make that a little bit better is we would depress the curb a little bit more. We'd depress the gutter a little more, sorry. And we could round the corners a little bit more, especially that one right there, okay, where water's kind of catching it. And then water's going into the first cell, so that's cool, and water's ponding up behind the first check dam, which is also cool. But yesterday, when I visited this facility, these check dams looked all new, and now with an evening and a day's worth of storm, we're getting a cut in this clay check dam. So water is still ponding up behind it, but it's starting to cut into this clay material. You can see it right there. It's about a ½ inch cut. And that's going to reduce the ponding depth, and it's also going to add sediment to the facility. And you can see the sediment actually slumped. Let's see if I can get the sun right. He's slumped right there. So, and you can see how the water's not as clean as we would like it to be, for sure. Okay, so now we're looking at the second cell. Let's look at the second inlet to the second cell. The second curb cut, water's coming down here and it's making a left-hand turn, but it's ponded to the maximum extent that it can pond. Not because the check dam is low, it still has a little bit of depth that it could pond behind the check dam, but it's ponding because the check dam is higher than the very lowest point where water might flow out, the outlet. And that's that corner right there. That's that point right there. So during maintenance, what you want to do is cut that check dam down a little bit so that more water, gets stored in this cell, which is practically empty. Right? So this cell here, I'm going to turn, I don't know, that could be bad. Okay, so water's going down to the third inlet. It's doing the same thing. It's going in, but here's the tiny little rain garden that has storage for that water. So it's full. Between the two check dams, it's full. And once again, that check dam is too high, and it's letting water pass out the lowest point. So there it is again. We're seeing it again, and once again, we're seeing a somewhat empty cell here. We're seeing some water in there, but not a whole lot. That could just be the water that fell in there. Who knows? Okay, so then water is the last curb cut, inlet outlet. It's doing the same thing. It's passing. It's making a turn, but it's ponding as much as it can. And then it's coming out the lowest point and going out into